Let's talk about something I'm sure a lot of you have been feeling lately. It's that nagging sense that even though you might hear the economy is doing great, your own bank account is telling a very different story. We're going to unpack exactly why that is. Does this sound familiar? You look at your paycheck, it's bigger than it was a year or two ago, but when you get to the end of the month, there's just less left over. It's a paradox, right? And it's one that so many people are wrestling with. And here's the most important thing to get right from the start. If you're feeling this pinch, it is not just you. This isn't some personal failure. It's a shared experience, a widespread economic reality happening to millions of people. So, what's the main culprit behind this feeling? Well, it all starts with a word we hear thrown around constantly, but its real world effect can be sneaky. We're talking about inflation, the invisible squeeze on your wallet. You see, we usually think of inflation as just, prices going up, but it's actually more helpful to think of it the other way around. Your money is quietly losing its power. Every single dollar you earn buys a little bit less today than it did yesterday. Just think about your last trip to the grocery store. A couple of years ago, a $100 bill could fill up your shopping cart. Now, that same $100 gets you noticeably less. That feeling when you're at the checkout, that is inflation in action. And this is exactly why your paycheck feels like it's shrinking, even if you got a raise. Because the costs of the absolute essentials, your rent, your food, your insurance, your healthcare, all of that has been climbing. And it's taking a much bigger bite out of your income than ever before. So to fight this, the folks in charge pull out their main tool. They raise interest rates. Now, the whole idea is to make borrowing money more expensive, which should cool down spending and stop prices from rising so fast. But as you can imagine, this solution creates its own set of problems. This one move sets off a huge ripple effect. First, things like mortgages, car loans, and credit card debt get way more expensive. So naturally, people start spending less. Then, because we're all spending less, companies start feeling the pressure on their profits. And just like that, the whole economy starts to lose steam. And this economic slowdown doesn't just affect what we buy at the store. Oh no. It has a massive impact on the job market, which brings us to the next really important piece of this puzzle. I mean, we're constantly hearing these headlines, right? The job market is strong, unemployment is low. But those big, flashy numbers, they can hide what's really going on for a lot of people trying to find good work. Because when you look a little closer, you see a much more complicated story. You see layoffs in big industries like tech. You see a huge rise in contract jobs and gig work, which often don't come with benefits or security. The result is that true long-term stability feels a lot harder to come by. And this creates a kind of feedback loop. When people feel uncertain about their jobs, what do? They pull back. They spend less. And when millions of people do that all at once, the economy slows down even more. That's when you start hearing that R word, recession, popping up in the news. Now that word can sound pretty scary. I get it. But this is where taking a step back and looking at the big picture really helps, because history teaches us a really clear lesson about how all of this actually works. And this is the absolute key. What we're feeling right now isn't a sign that the whole system is collapsing. It's a sign that the economy is moving through a predictable, even if it's difficult, pressure phase. It's a normal part of the process. If you look back through history, economies always move in cycles. It's a rhythm. You have periods of growth followed by a slowdown. That's the pressure phase we're in now. But after every slowdown, there's a recovery, and then a return to growth. It's a pattern that repeats itself. So if these cycles are just a fact of life, what's the most valuable thing you can have? It isn't just about having more money. It's about having knowledge. In every single economic slowdown, people tend to react in one of two ways. Some people panic. They're driven by fear and uncertainty. But other people, they see it as an opportunity. They use the time to quietly prepare and build a stronger foundation for themselves. So how do you become one of the prepared ones? Well, it really comes down to three key things. They stay away from high-interest debt, they make building up emergency savings a top priority, and maybe most importantly, they focus on developing skills that can earn them income no matter what the economy is doing. Because here's the bottom line. The economy isn't some big, scary monster hiding in the closet. It's just a system with rules and patterns and cycles. And when you actually understand how that system works, the fear starts to melt away and confidence takes its place. And that's really the goal here. Understanding all this isn't just about surviving the tough times. It's about empowering yourself. It's what allows you to not just get through the pressure, but to actually move ahead of it. In any economy, your knowledge is the most powerful asset you will ever have.